Hey, welcome back, Star Warriors, to another Skeleton Crew review. All right, let's do introductions first, and then we're gonna dive right in. All right, so from my left, your right, star of stage and screen. Oh no, that's Sherry's intro. That's Sherry's intro. From parts unknown, it is T to the Oni.
Welcome back, everybody.
And pilot of the infamous Parma Flyer is Crash.
Hey, everybody. S-Foil's locked, ready to go. Let's do this.
There we go. And I am Tommy D. So I'm just gonna say it right now before we really dive in, because there's so much to unpack with this episode. The last episode, final episode of Skeleton Crew. It is by far, without question, my favorite Star Wars TV show, like bar none.
That's a high bar, and I kind of agree.
I mean, there's some good shows. I mean, I like The Mandalorian. I love Rebels. I love Clone Wars, but man, Skeleton Crew just nailed it. Just nailed it. All right, so now that the show's wrapped, thoughts, Tony, tell us what are your final thoughts here on Skeleton Crew?
I mean, this was just really well done, and I like the fact that, yes, they didn't technically show Jod dying or anything, so in theory, the character could still exist if they decided that they wanted to try for a second season or do something.
We're gonna get to that.
But all in all, I really like the fact that they, while it can be open-ended, I think it told a good story and completed that story. So I'm okay if it doesn't have a second season. I'd be a little disappointed because I think it's been great. But I do like the fact that they tied off all the loose ends that they needed to, and told a full story without having to leave those cliffhangers or anything else.
All right, that's fair. Crash, what are your thoughts?
I think this is, you're saying one of the best. I think this is one of the best written Star Wars shows. I know that's a term a lot of haters like to throw about bad writing this, bad writing that. Well,
yeah, that's just an excuse they hide.
It's an excuse to say, well, I didn't like it, so it must be bad writing. No, this was good writing.
That's the excuse they use. Oh, there's women and minorities in it, and but you know what? I'm not a racist and I'm not sexist, so I'm just gonna say it's bad writing.
Yeah, this had layers to it. This had depth to it, and even the things that we were kind of like, as we were going along, there were certain things I couldn't wait. I on our private chat, I had to throw together a quick meme, because when Neil finds the turret that we kind of learned that the schools had, I was like, oh yeah, my diehard brain kicked in immediately, and I was like, now I have a turbo laser. Ho ho ho.
I was thinking like for me, I was thinking like from Iron Man, when he was like, when Tony Stark, he was like, oh yeah, I can fly. I'm thinking for Neil, it's like, oh yeah, I've got a turbo laser.
Yeah, and just the whole thing, the chase and the dad getting involved, and him sort of, I don't say experiencing the excitement of dad the parents got in on it, and it was kind of, there was a lot of good acting, a good writing, good performance. It was just a really good Star Wars show, and for all of the hate that past shows have gotten, for something that may be a standalone series, I'm still trying to figure out how this could tie into a Dave Filoni compilation movie eventually. If it's not, I'm not upset, because it was just good content.
Yeah. So now, are we disappointed that we didn't get any other cameos from any other series? I know initially myself included, there were predictions that, because it's Filoni, It's our Lord and Savior. He likes to have his cameos. He loves his characters. I was thinking we would see some sort of clone, or, you know, Ahsoka's out there kicking it in the galaxy. Grogu, Din, they're all out there. But we didn't see anyone except for the pirate whose name I always forget. But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No-nose guy. And
The Nikto.
what is his name?
Well, his species, he's a Nikto.
He's a Nikto, yeah, but I can't remember.
Well, we'll drop that in post, no biggie.
Keeper of the Holocron. Keeper of the Holocron. You can
I can't. I'm actually looking up something else at the moment here.
Okay.
Because
the
the only other cameo that I could have thought of was if maybe one of the pilots that comes to the rescue at the end was Trapper Wolf, or the other guy that we saw in Mandalorian.
Carson Teva. Yeah, I was expecting to see him as the kind of Agent Coulson of the Filoni-verse, where he's tied into everything. And I would have liked to have seen it. And at the same time, I'm kind of cool that they're developing new guys in these cockpit shots. It's like, okay, there's more than just Wedge Antilles in the galaxy, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they're expanding the, you know, I'm still holding out hope for a Rogue Squadron, like Patty Jenkins and Michael Stackpole. Don't fail me now, but I'm still holding out hope for an X-Wing Rogue Squadron movie. And I think the more they develop some of these side characters, I'm like, there's potential. You could do a fighter squadron movie and make it sell.
Oh, absolutely. Vane is the pirate's name, by the way.
Okay.
So, oh god, there's just so much to unpack. So we're okay with not having any cameos, crossovers, cross-pollination. Everybody's okay with that?
I think it would have been okay. Like when the Corvette showed up, I think there was a lot of implied, like as soon as the X-Wings and the B-Wing, and I'll get into that later. And as soon as that Corvette pulled up, that's to me the signature Leia ship. Like Senator Organa might have led the mission, and my brain immediately was kicking into, you know, the New Republic. Yeah, just literally fell on a gold mine. They're going to kind of do what Jod wanted to do. Is basically you just found this pile of money. Okay, how do you acclimate this culture, this planet of people who've been isolated for so long into the modern galaxy?
Right.
You know, and all of a sudden the connections, you know, Wim picking up that lightsaber. My sister and I were talking this morning on the drive to work going, oh God, please, you want him to almost like meet Luke and think what would be great if Wim started training as a Jedi, and immediately with us, and then Ben kills him. You know, it's a double-edged lightsaber.
No. Wim is going to be joining the New Republic. He wants to be an X-Wing pilot. The way, well, yeah, I mean, the way that he looked at those X-Wings and that shot at the end of him looking up into the night sky, the X-Wings fly overhead, literally a whole galaxy of opportunity is ahead of him and the rest of the kids. That boy is going to be an X-Wing pilot. And how cool would it be if we see Wim again, jump in the future 10-ish years, and we get that Rogue Squadron movie, you know, like that era, like, because we're still pre New Order, but we still got a long way to go to get to New Order. So we still need X-Wing pilots, you know, between Skeleton Crew and, you know, the New Order. I
think Fern's running for president of Ad Aten. I think, this girl got the planet under, she's got, mom might be the administrator, but like this girl knows what's up. And with this new culture coming in, and then all the challenges, Fern seems to be the most street savvy person on this planet.
I'm thinking Fern is going to get into smuggling, or I could see her and KB getting a ship and totally going Han Solo. Like 100%. If anyone's going to end up running Ad Aten, it'll probably be Neil. I could see Neil being the supervisor. Literally
Neil Nation. I like it.
Neil Nation. Yes. Yes. I mean, he's level-headed, he's cool, he's fair, he's compassionate, he's kind, but he's still, he's still be firm if he needs to. He's not afraid of pulling the trigger.
And he bathes regularly.
And he bathes often. That dude is in the tub. But you know what? You can't be mad at it, because after a long adventure through unknown territories in space, near-death experiences, my dude needed a bath. And
sometimes you just need a hot soak.
Need a hot soak. And I love that Neil is in the biggest bathtub ever. It's like it's like the tub in the Harry Potter movie, the Goblet of Fire, where they had to open up the egg under the water. This gigantic like bathtub that can like comfortably hold like 30 people. And that's Neil. So I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. So question. We're gonna get to Jod in a second. My brain's all over the place because there's so much to talk about. The B-Wings, B-Wings strike. How cool was that? We've only ever seen that in I think Rebels.
Yeah, well, I was gonna break your spoiler rule a little bit. It's fascinating because, again, we will see the prototype B-Wing as a beam blockade busting starship later on. When we watch Rebels, which is further back in the timeline.
Sure,
we've never actually seen a B-Wing in combat. There's been Ralph McQuarrie art, but it was like
not in live action.
Explosions behind it already. I'm a big fan. I'm having a midlife crisis about the old X-Wing computer game from the 90s where you flew B-Wings, and those things were just heavy proton torpedo laden monsters.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. When they introduced the beam weapon on it in Rebels, I went, wait a minute. Okay, is this thing a mini Death Star tech, or is this just a torpedo launching super bomber? The fact that we've seen it in live action, still as the prototype has evolved. That's the standard B-Wing now, is a beam firing starship. I was like, where were those at Exegol?
Yeah,
those things are badass.
Yeah, it was so fun to watch them. So Ad Aten, the barrier's presumably destroyed at this point. I think that was the
I don't think you can turn it back. It's not like an electric fence. You can't turn it on and off.
I think we're done. I think we're done with the barrier. The ramifications for the planet now are immense. But I am curious about one thing. They did say, when we talked about this last week a little bit, they said there were over 1,000 other vaults. I think they said on Ad Aten, right? There were like over 1,000 other vaults.
1138.
1138. Does that mean that there are 1,000 other cities potentially? Is this the only city on Ad Aten? Do we know?
We don't know.
We don't know. I don't think we do.
And that's an interesting.
What do we think?
I think it's the planets, even like Ad Akron and Ad Cuyahoga Heights and all those. They all seem to be built around a core suburban metropolis setting. I would not be surprised if there are multiple vaults in that complex. We just saw one. So there could be like Gringotts. There could be plenty of other vaults in the complex that they took Jod to one of them. And his plan was to literally just have the people literally just unload the whole place into as needed. I think it's all focused in that one area, and that's why the woods and everything else are sort of off limit. It's easy to control the population if they're all in one place.
Right. So that makes sense. That would simplify things. Like you only have. I'm sure that they're practicing population control as well, because you can. Everything was just like precision, fine-tuned. So everyone served a purpose. Like everybody served a purpose. So yeah, maybe that was the only other city, because Star Wars is fond of doing that. I have an entire planet, but there's only one city on it. Except like Tatooine, we've got Mos Eisley, Mos Espa. We've been to a few different places on Tatooine, but most other planets, we're like, like Naboo, right? Theed. We don't hear. I mean, Theed cannot be the only other city. It's the capital. We know that it's the capital of Naboo, but Theed can't be the only other city on the entire freaking planet.
Yeah, the Lake Country has a few homes probably. There's the city underwater, but I think, Star Wars, all sci-fi sort of has this recurring trope of, well, we visit a planet and where we land is the epicenter of the civilization. Nobody ever lands out in the boonies. Right. It has to hike 3 days.
There's nothing else here. There's just this one spot and there's nothing else. So what are your thoughts? I'm curious. What are your thoughts on the future of Ad Aten? What does this mean for the planet and potentially the galaxy at large? And I assume the New Republic was well aware of Ad Aten's presence, or not. What do we think? Tony, what do you think?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think that if they had been aware that there would be more things happening, I mean, I don't know. It's they left that very ambiguous and open-ended. I think that's done on purpose because you don't want to write yourself into a corner. I mean, as far we talked about, is this the only city on the planet? It's probably not, just because, I mean, even if you have multiple vaults in one area, you can't possibly have that many in just one space. But there's no way that you've got only one place that can turn off the entire defense grid for the planet. So, and the fact that, Jod takes out the supervisor and pretty much the entire planet's, as far as we can see, power goes out and all the droids stop working. So even if there are other areas, this was definitely the central location.
Right.
But I mean, that's neither here nor there. As far as the New Republic and their knowledge, it's very open-ended on that. The fact that Kim was able to get people there that quickly tells me that they had to at least have an inkling. I mean, maybe they just knew, hey, so long as the defense grid's up, there's absolutely nothing we can do, so we're just not going to bother trying to do anything. But at least they were aware of it enough that once it came down, they were able to be there, within literally minutes.
Right. And also, I don't know if it's been said or if we know yet, but do we know where Ad Aten is situated in the galaxy? You know what I mean? Is it,
is it in the outer rim? Is it in the
rim,
core? Yeah.
Core, mid rim? I mean, where is it in the galaxy? I don't know. And I don't know if that's.
I haven't seen an official updated map since this show started. There's been a lot of content, canon shifting, and there used to be, they had big maps that the RPG nerds worked out where each of the planets were. I haven't seen one that included Ad Aten, so it could be anywhere.
Okay.
According to a quick Google search, Ad Aten is in the Quelly sector, relatively close to Dathomir.
That's interesting. So, okay, it's in a strategically known area, and dare I say, there's so many implications where you think, okay, going back to Ahsoka, Thrawn's floating around now, around Dathomir. We know, is that going to put a planet like this in contention?
It could. Where did you find that?
I just did a quick Google search on that, and this is coming up with let me see here. So this is coming from thetimes.com.
Thetimes.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. because I don't know if I've seen anything on the official like wiki.
Right.
So they're saying this was after episode 6 came out when they showed the coordinates. People, I guess, have figured out where those coordinates would be.
I love nerds.
Right?
I love nerds for doing
Well,
that. All right.
I like how Kim was able to get, it takes me 5 minutes to like read through my sister's text messages. Kim gets like a text with the coordinates from KB, and like 3 seconds later, she's like, "Oh, I've already plotted a path. I already called the X-wings and gave them the right."
Yeah, we got it.
I need
So,
that GPS.
so that's pretty cool. That we do learn more about the 8 planets, and
The biggest thing I think the impact on Ad Aten, possibly joining the New Republic. It's not an official member yet. Even the Mandalorian.
Okay, so this just makes me laugh a little bit.
oh, you're breaking up, Tony. You're breaking up,
Sorry.
Tony. Your comms are being jammed.
Damn it! I hate when they do that.
Tony,
Still there?
Go ahead. Let me see what I can do on my end.
Okay. All right, you're good. You're good. You're coming in. What? Go ahead.
So, according to Wikipedia, the for Ad Aten is A113.
Wait, say that again. You the first part broke. So you said according to Wikipedia.
According to Wikipedia, the sector that Ad Aten is in is A113.
Wasn't that Princess Cell?
Which is, of course, the
Pixar
reference.
23.
A what?
A23.
A113.
Okay.
The Pixar reference. That's right. That's the what is it? The office or the studio?
Mm-hmm.
I think something like that. It was. I thought that was. I think the Pixar office or something like that, or the studio or building number, something like that. So, all right. Well, that's pretty interesting. So now we've got a sector. So that's pretty cool. And it looks like there's some stuff in Star Wars Insider about it as well, but we can deep dive that another time. But yeah, so all right, we gotta stop doing this stuff. I can't do two things at once. I can't multitask. So great episode. As we know, the best Star Wars TV show of all time ever, except for the holiday special. Let's talk about Jod. Let's talk about that individual. So we learned that he has some childhood trauma, pretty severe childhood trauma, obviously. That he had force potential, was trained presumably sometime after Order 66. Or during, sometime after Order 66 was issued. We learned that he was trained a bit by a female Jedi who was then murdered in front of him, which of course is going to give that man a little bit of trauma. So not a Jedi, force sensitive, knows a couple things. So we kind of thought that anyway, because he was using, Jedi nomenclature. Basically, he was talking about things that usually only the Jedi talk about. So what happened to him? What do we think happened to him? He didn't die. He's just standing there in the supervisor's office, what's left of it. And do we presume he's going to be arrested? Did he get away? What are your thoughts, Tony?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. And again, this is one of those things where they left it very open-ended, so there's potential to do a second season if they want to. But right now, I'm perfectly content not knowing the answer to that.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Crash, what about you?
The thing that struck me most about him, this is a very Jod centric episode.
Yeah.
They got the tragic backstory. There were a lot of speculations about was he a full trained Jedi? Was he self-taught? A little both. He learned some basics. I think he maybe practiced what little he knew and got and applied it to scamming people the way he does. I did love that one scene as the pirate ship is flying by the burning and crashing by the window, and you see him look at it, and I just got a sense of he's already cooked up an escape plan where he's gonna lay. I think he's gonna lay low, and as the New Republic comes in, relief efforts, whatever you want to call it, his odds of slipping out increase the longer. It's like the old adage. If you're running from the cops, walk, don't run.
Right.
I think he's going to kind of hang. He doesn't have to walk down Main Street and be spotted because people did see him.
There's a lot of confusion happening right now.
Yeah, but once ships start coming in and out, New Republic people start coming in and out with relief efforts. Maybe it'd be real easy for him to pull a Cad Bane, swap uniforms with somebody, and sneak out the back door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think Wim knows that when they got in the elevator and he just looked at him, it was like there was that kind of recognition of we're just gonna let him get away.
I don't know. I thought maybe Wim was trying to save him. I thought Wim was reaching out to him. Maybe Wim thought that the tower was going to be destroyed or something, and he was, even through everything, Wim was potentially reaching out to Jod to save him. Maybe literally and figuratively, save him physically, but then also maybe, help him on his redemption arc, along those lines. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like he's just defeated at this point. I was mulling it over. Is he going to run? Is he going to try to, he's slippery. We know that. But I at the same time, we've seen multiple times he doesn't try to escape. That's never been his thing. He was in the brig, when we first, when we encounter him, without his helmet and all that for the first time. He's in the brig. When they were on Ad Aten, he gave himself up very easily and just said, you know what, just kill me.
Mm-hmm.
He was just so, and even in the supervisor's tower, he dropped his gun. He surrendered to Wim and Fern.
There was a moment where even when he was threatening Wim's dad and everybody, it kind of goes back to the Tack Renard, lair, where he could have just slit the kid's throat in the challenge and taken over. He didn't want to. He didn't want to be the murderer. He didn't want to, harm innocent people. Even when his crew was, taking over the town, he told them, don't hurt them unless you have to. Even if they were armed, don't hurt them if you have. I need these people to work for this gold mine I just found. So I think there was just this reluctance. I hate the anti-hero label on certain characters, but it's not that he's a bad guy. He's just a guy doing bad things.
Nah, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. I don't think he's an anti-hero. I don't get anti-hero vibes from it. He's reluctant. He even said, I don't want to kill anyone. I don't want to hurt
that's what I mean. I'm not giving him an out on that, but it's
I don't want to destroy the planet. I don't want to, destroy this beautiful place. I just want my money.
Right.
And he'll do whatever it takes. He'll threaten, he'll lie, he'll cheat, he'll steal. He will potentially kill to get his money, but he does, just because he doesn't want to doesn't mean that he won't.
Right.
Like he sauced Brutus, but who cares? Brutus had it coming.
Yeah, at some point, if he didn't, Brutus was going to kill him either way. So like that was completely understandable.
So that was survival.
Where for me the line was drawn was he's standing in one vault that has more money than he or anybody has ever seen. Mm-hmm. He knows there's 1,000 other ones on this planet.
Yep.
if he just said, listen, load up my ship, load up the other ship, and we're gone. Okay, you know what? Maybe I can give him some partial credit for not being a bad guy.
He tried
But when
making
it's
that deal.
but when it's no, you're all going to stay here, and we're just going to keep taking this. Like,
Yeah, I'm going to
like,
rule
to
the
me,
planet.
that's the
Yeah, I'm going to
like,
rule the planet.
okay.
You're all my slaves.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, personally, me, I would rather die. I would rather be murdered than be a slave.
He was willing to enslave the entire city.
Right.
That ain't an anti-hero. That's a bad guy.
Yeah. I mean, he tried selling that to Fern's mom. You know, he said, just, we'll take, our share and be gone. We're all sitting here behind the screen going, no, you're not. You're going to, it was like when he, made a partnership to take the kids home. We know you're going to flip on them the second you get the upper hand.
And the amount of credits that were in the Onyx Cinder would have been enough to set him and his entire crew up for life.
Oh yeah.
Just that amount, a fraction of what's in the vaults. But greed got the better of him and childhood trauma. I mean, the dude's messed up. He's a complex character. I do like that he's layered, that he does have conflict. He does struggle with, more of the violent nature of piracy, but he is a greedy, self-serving son of a bitch. No doubt about it. And could he have a redemption arc? I don't know. It's hard. It's kind of hard to walk away from slavery, but I mean, Anakin was able to walk away from child murder. So I guess anything is possible in the galaxy.
Well, I mean, personally, I know, I know history says, and the remakes say that, oh, well, he turned back to the good side, and that was good enough for him to become a Force ghost, and so now we're considering him back as being Anakin. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, he did one good thing at the end, but he's still a fucking villain. I don't care.
Yeah, 100%. It's like I saw a meme a while ago where it shows, like, on the top of the meme, it shows, it shows Anakin and Obi-Wan and Yoda, all the little Force ghosts lined up. And then on the bottom, it's like the younglings, but like in Force Ghost. And they're like, what is he doing here?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you're not wrong. It's like you murdered innocent children. However, they were armed. I will give them that. The children were armed. They had training sabers, but it doesn't matter. A weapon is a weapon. So he didn't murder unarmed children. He defended himself against a young armed enemy insurgent group. No, Anakin's a child killer, man. I don't care what you say about it.
Joking aside, I'd have to watch that scene again and zoom in on. Are younglings in the town, unless they're doing actual saber training, like the ones we saw with Yoda in Attack of the Clones? I'm not even sure younglings have their own lightsaber yet. They might have,
No.
So I don't think the kids, even the ones we see in the beginning of Obi-Wan, the Order 66 flashback in Kenobi, they're doing like Tai Chi style stuff, but they weren't packing lightsabers.
We don't know that. They might always have their lightsabers on them. Maybe they're in their lunchbox in their coat closet. We don't know. But the Force itself is a weapon. They're packing the Force.
Okay.
Those children could have all used the Force simultaneously to force choke poor Anakin, and he had no choice but to defend himself. Maybe he was like, you know what? I have a change of heart. Let's get you kids out of here. And they're like, no. And they started to force choke Annie, and he just, no. Anakin is a child murdering bastard, and he did not deserve a redemption arc after you kill children. I don't care. That's my hot take. Whatever. You threw an old man down a shaft. Okay, great. You sacrificed yourself to save your kid, but you murdered everybody else's children. So yeah, there's that. And who knows how many other, kids he struck down during Order 66. How many Padawans? How many other younglings did they uncover?
How many children were on Alderaan?
Well, just think about that one we saw in Kenobi where he showed up on the scene and he choked somebody in front of their child just to draw Kenobi out. He basically killed people just as a demonstration.
Yeah,
murdering bastard.
Yeah, murdering bastard. Is Jod as bad as Vader? No. He didn't kill children. Was he willing to, though? Was he he said he didn't want to? I mean, he really fought. He really fought. I mean, we saw that with Fern. Just yield, please. Just yield. I don't want to do this. But just because you don't want to do something, does that mean that you won't do something? Would he? Obviously, this is all speculation after the fact now, but would he have sauced those kids or their parents? Would
I'm
he
gonna
have
say he
killed
might have killed the parents. I don't think he would have killed the kids, because there was even in that last episode, there was a point where Fern was running. He had his gun on him. He could have shot her and didn't.
He did shoot at her, and at first I thought her mom.
I thought he was shooting at the mom. I didn't think he was shooting at her.
Tackled her just as the shot came in, so it might have been it might have been going for Fern's head if she hadn't fallen down.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Mom tackled Fern, and because Fern was going for it, so I think he has the capacity to kill children. So no, that your anti-hero status is revoked. I could have been cool with all the greed and wanting the gold, and let's use the kids to get the goal, and then we're out. Like Hondo. Hondo, in my opinion, is borderline an anti-hero. Borderline, because we do see him help out, Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan from time to time. But he's very self-serving. But Jod is worse. Jod is so much worse than Hondo.
See, on the alignment chart, I think of Hondo as chaotic neutral.
Okay.
And Jod is just straight. Jod is probably neutral evil. Oh
man,
laws don't matter, but all in all, he's just bad.
yeah. I might even have to bump Hondo up a little bit from Jod. I mean, I would give Jod lawful, or not lawful, but neutral evil. Yeah. Oh, jeez. So anyway,
and as the show progressed, you really saw, I want to say, the obsession about the treasure. I mean, he knows the Tak Renard tale and how this guy, they think he plundered Ad Aten, and that's where he was dead. As the story went along, you could see Jod's mindset just, it was all about the money. And that's all he could think about. And this one was the culmination was just great, because you just saw this guy. He just wants that money. He wants that Scrooge McDuck money pit.
He does, and I get it. Like he said, when I was your age, I was living in a hole, trying to figure out how to survive, how to not starve. That was my worry. That was my concern. So you could see that when he called them, sheltered, spoiled brats. He was very resentful and jealous of the life that they had versus the childhood that he had, and the loss of this, parental figure in this unknown Jedi. So yeah, the guy has a lot of childhood trauma, a lot of issues. So, but I think he just wanted to better himself, but he was just so far gone. Like you said, he was so obsessed with it that he couldn't see the forest for the trees anymore. He was just like, instead of just taking my fair share and then maybe even coming back from time to time. I mean, he could have come back to top off. They were buying the whole emissary thing.
I said last week, he could have made a fortune literally just upholding his end of the deal. You know, bring the kids home. Hey, a couple credits for my trouble. You know, load up the ship, whatever. And he could have bailed on his crew. You know, and literally just, you know, he was so fixated on getting the barrier down to get his, you know, his second ship in, and like, screw those guys. You don't, it was, you know, take a handful of credits and you don't need them anymore.
No, I mean, they were quick to want to put his ass out the airlock.
Right.
So, you don't owe them shit, but he wants that power. It's not just the money. He wants the power. He wants the prestige. You know, he wants all these things that he saw that he wasn't able to attain, you know, at that younger age. So that's just been driving him his entire life. So
I gotta say, that's one of the things that I, you know, a little bit of a plot hole for me was that the whole idea was the Onyx Cinder could get through because it was an Ad Aten ship.
Yeah.
The other ship wasn't an Ad Aten ship. They didn't disable the, you know, they hadn't killed the field yet. How did it get through?
So they gave him the codes. They had like the
Fern's mom, you know, when he was threatening them, she said, I'll give your ship access. Like, scan this.
But how would she know how to do that if she didn't know how to get the kids home?
What do you mean?
Like, the whole thing was that the kids were out and they were like, you know, all we can do is send a message saying, you know, we hope you can get back. But they didn't give them codes to get back through the shield.
Well, they might have done that once they were back in system because they had no idea where the kids even were.
Yeah, it kind of put out a blanket call across the galaxy. You know, you don't necessarily want to give, oh, here's how you get in. You know, the key's under the mat by the back door. You know,
and it's possible she might not have been able to without full access to the supervisor's chambers. And once he was knocked out and power restored, now maybe she's got the capabilities of doing that. I don't know. You're not wrong though. That is definitely a potential plot hole there.
And wasn't it just great that, you know, for this planet that we were told has been cut off for so long? I love the supervisor. You know, the planet being run by a droid was on a lot of people's mind, but I like the fact that even he knows about Order 66.
Yeah, and
that you know the last time they were contacted by the Republic was to say that, you know, Jedi are the enemy. So going back to your point from the, you know, our other show, Papa Palpatine never even got his hands on this sweet cash, but it managed to get word out about Order 66. Don't trust the Jedi, and the supervisor knew that when this dude walked in, you know, claiming to be a Jedi. You know, he was, you know, for an artificial intelligence droid, he sort of drew that guy. Keep feeding him rope so he can hang himself in his own lie.
So here's the thing.
I'm sorry.
I think Palpatine did know about Ad Aten and did have access to it, because I don't know how else you fund the war on both fronts unless you've got access to that kind of cash.
Possible.
Yeah, that is possible. But they were exploiting so many worlds. I mean, they were siphoning resources off, and people were committing money. I mean, especially on the Separatist side.
Yeah, banking clan more than anything.
Oh yeah, the banking clan was giving them buku bucks. But it's afterwards. So was the last transmission from the Republic about Order 66? And if so, that also calls to question, you know, how long were they isolated? You know, because it seems like they had been isolated for hundreds of years. But if this transmission about Order 66 and the Jedi being evil, if that got through, then they probably were receiving other transmissions. But then at that point, once Order 66 is broadcast, was it just radio silence for Ad Aten and the other 7 planets at that point? Because the supervisor didn't seem to know about the Galactic Civil War. Or maybe it does. I mean, but it didn't talk about it, and it wasn't potentially aware of the current state of the galaxy with the New Republic. So, I mean, lots of questions still.
And an interesting thing going forward with this Ad Aten being out in the galaxy now, I could see where the flaws in the New Republic, like it was funny. The episode hadn't even finished yet, and I'm already thinking, like Senator Ziono, from Ahsoka, complaining about galactic inflation and stuff like that. Can you imagine this influx of just all these Republic credits, which apparently are worth a lot.
Yeah.
I can see some of the richer planets in the New Republic going, ho, 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 hold up. We're used to being the top dog around here, people.
Right.
It's just dripping in money. But because, again, for somebody like a Senator Organa, Leia would see this as okay, we could fix a lot of problems. We could help a lot of people. I could see other senators maybe saying, look, yeah, but now my planet's going to lose influence. And that's a flaw in the New Republic that I feel is going to get exploited.
Of course.
Whether we see that in a later show. I kind of hope we see that something like that in a later show. Like maybe the First Order does get involved with these people.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm really kind of looking forward to the future is even if we don't get a second season of this show, because this show takes place within the same time frame that we keep going back to, and again, I'm fine with that. Like this show could be the thing of, okay, well, we didn't get that many Easter eggs in this show from other stuff, but there could be fallout from this that affects a lot of stuff we see going forward.
Well, potentially,
I'm curious to see how that goes.
Potentially, the amount of credits on Ad Aten could destabilize the entire galactic economy, because just a hand, like Wim's lunch money, I mean, could buy you a ship. I mean, basically, I mean, there's a lot of credits on Ad Aten. So, and like you said, Crash, how are the other senators? And there's always political leanings, as we know in Star Wars. So, I mean, who knows how other senators, other systems, how all this is going to work out. So, I mean, I'm hoping that we're going to get maybe, I'd like to see a book about some of the heavier political, the galactic geopolitical side of things. I don't know if I'd want to watch it, but I'd be happy reading something like that. But
agreed. Like it's type of thing that again, I don't think you can make a show out of it, but I could see it being referenced in other shows.
Right.
And if you want that deep dive, you need a book or something like that.
Yeah. Because either way, Ad Aten's got a target on it right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a whole galaxy of promise opened up to them, of course, and the citizens, because now the citizens have a choice. They don't have to stay there and mind the credits anymore. They don't have to be these accountants, and they don't have to do this anymore. Now they can go out and they can explore, and they can do what they want. They can follow their dreams if they have any. And so what does that mean for the planet? So a lot of questions.
And like you said, you've been saying, Wim being the sort of the eyes of the audience in this show, the one that kind of dreams of adventure and explore. I love how the show ended with literally Vern telling him, well, I guess you don't have to take assessment anymore. Like, hey,
right?
You don't have to do your SATs. Remember those tests we used to take in high school where every few years. Yeah, you don't have to do that anymore, man. You can do whatever you want.
And then at that moment,
X-Wings
and a Corvette are overhead, and he's just looking and smiling out at the stars. That boy is going to be an X-Wing pilot, I'm telling you. And I hope we see more of these kids. I hope that we get another season or two. I hope it turns into, the Stranger Things phenomenon, where it was supposed to be a one season thing and ends up being like six seasons. These kids are in their 30s now. I mean, it's crazy. But or even a jump ahead. I'm fine with a jump ahead in the timeline, get us closer to New Order era, and we can see what direction the kids have taken, and maybe there's a team up. That would be a fun show to watch.
Yeah. I will say, it's one of the things that I really, really appreciated about this episode was the fact that, first off, these kids have got to be exhausted coming off of this huge trip. They're reunited with their families, and yet they're all still dedicated to the mission. They're all still the moment the shit goes south, the moment those pirates show up, they're all like, all right, we're going back to it. Like, like, no, we're not going to let the parents try and figure it out. No, this is our problem. We're dealing with it.
They're
on top of that,
it was the speeder bike version of the ET Kids chase, and that was just great. That, again, the nostalgia of, okay, the kids are in, the parents don't know what to do. The parents are, we'll let the security droid. I love how Wim's dad's like, oh, we'll let the security droids. You mean the droids that are shut down?
That are shut down, Dad. Come on, think it through, Dad.
Yeah,
love it.
And on top of that, the fact that they made a point of, and they established it throughout the series, like Neil finding the cannon on top of the school, like that's a clear reference to his experience throughout this whole thing. Right. It made it worth the fact of, okay, we saw that he did that by himself. He wasn't with the others when he found that. So when this happens now on his planet, he knows what to do, and he accepts that role without question. He just says, okay, this is what I'm doing.
And Katie befriended, Kim. So when they needed to call for, she literally told them, if you ever need me, call. And she Katie was on it.
Mm-hmm. And she did.
And fix SM-33 and the enough to help her fly the shit, because she's the techie. She knows. Like Wim's dad, you kids know how to fly this ship. Well, you get a little help.
I love it. And we got to see all the kids grow a little bit more, and it was, oh man, I just hope we get more. I hope we get more. It supposedly, allegedly, I haven't looked into official numbers, but allegedly, Skeleton Crew has the lowest viewership of any of the other Disney Star Wars shows, to include the Acolyte. So I don't know if that's 100% true or not. I think the Acolyte got a bit of a boost in their viewers because of all the hate and controversy that was surrounding it. So people were watching it to see. We didn't get a lot of that with Skeleton Crew. So I think the audience size for Skeleton Crew, I feel like that's probably more indicative of what the numbers would normally be without being skewed by controversy.
And it's also a holiday release.
Exactly. That's where I was going to go, is the fact that the timing of this release is not conducive to getting high ratings, because it's the holidays. People are out. People are doing things. It's.
Yeah, I mean, 2 episodes fell on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
Right.
So, yeah. So I didn't even end up watching it until after the fact. But all right. So great show, great series. John and Dave do it again as executive producers. You had some great writers, great directors on here. I was so happy. From start to finish. It was a hell of a ride. And I really do hope we get more. I'm going to watch I'll probably binge it again this weekend. Just because. And I looked forward to it every week. I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here. I would, we were doing our homework for these shows, and I'd watch it when it first drops Tuesday, and then I'd catch myself in the morning going, let's go through it one more time, just to pick up anything I might admit. It's a fun. This is the thing about the Disney Plus shows, even within the Star Wars universe. People complain because they're so short, half hour, 40 minutes, whatever. As opposed to having to drag yourself out to a movie theater, find a screen time, plop yourself down for 2.5 hours. This is easy binge watching, and it's fun. I think the thing that really gets me about this show, that if I was still on the hellscape known as Twitter, I would be fighting on that hill, saying, you can hate Star Wars. I don't know why you bother staying if you hate it, but this is fun. Star Wars is supposed to be fun.
That's it. This show was everything that Star Wars is supposed to be. 100%. Action, adventure, fun, a little bit of politics here and there, not a whole lot, but a little bit. There's a little bit of intrigue. It was just fun. And I think this is, I would love, I haven't seen anything. I haven't really looked for it, but I would love to see what Lucas thinks of the series. If he's watched it, I would love to get his thoughts on this. Maybe we'll have to have him on the show. We'll ask him. We'll see if we
George, you're always welcome. Anytime.
No, he knows. I mean, he already. I know he watches us and he listens to us. But he's a busy guy. He's busy spending money. It's a full-time job spending that money. But that's it. All right. We're gonna wrap up. Does anyone have anything else before we wrap Skeleton Crew review season 1?
I mean, I can't imagine anybody's listening to this that hasn't seen it, but just in case there is anybody that's that description, watch it.
Yeah,
just watch it.
That's fair.
Kathleen, Dave, John, everybody involved. I feel like an award ceremony here. Thank you. This was good, fun Star Wars, and I think the fandom, the light side of the fandom, you know, the fandom's like the Force. There's a light side and a dark side. I think the light side of the Force got a win on this one.
Absolutely. And even the dreaded fandom menace has been awful quiet about this one. And I love not hearing from them. It's been great. All right. So yeah, that's going to do it. That's going to be a wrap for us, guys. Thanks for joining me. And for everyone that took the time to watch us and listen to us on our various platforms, thank you so much. And we will be back with more Skeleton Crew review for season 2. Fingers crossed. Maybe we'll see what happens. And if you're happy with what you're hearing here, check out our other show, Star Wars Safe Space. You can just look that up at the SWS show on all platforms. That's our ongoing podcast where we discuss all Star Wars in chronological order, which means that eventually on that show, we're going to be revisiting Skeleton Crew. So I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting season 4 of the Clone Wars. So if you're interested in the Clone Wars in any way, or if you've been curious about, maybe Swarzy curious about checking it out, listen to our new podcast, or the new season of our podcast, which is going to drop in a couple days here. Every Tuesday. It's supposed to every Tuesday. I'm a little behind on my posting this week, but it happens. Darth Real Life
coming out the holidays. It's fine.
The holidays, you know what? And again, Darth Real Life gets in the way. So check us out on all social media spaces at the SWS show, and head on over to our website, circleofnerds.com. And you can find out about some of our other shows and maybe pick up some merch as well if you're interested. So that is going to do it. And are we all done? That's it? That's a wrap?
I think we're good.
All right. All right, Star Warriors. Like we've been saying on the Skeleton Crew review here, be safe and don't get caught. So until next time, bye.